The following is a presentation of the film crew of Lake Helen, Florida.
What you're about to see is the ultimate achievement in skydiving as we know it today. This formation going on in front of you right now is going to become a 60-man. The principles of accelerated freefall training are designed to teach the basic requirements for a skydiver to advance to this tremendous level. Over the next few dives, we will try to show you the different methods and types of dives incorporated in accelerated freefall to train these methods. This first dive is an instructor training dive with TK Donnelly, Jim Mowry, and Alan Jancarelli. TK is playing the student, and on this particular dive, he tries to present the prospective instructors with the typical problems incorporated in freefall. Notice the kicking and flailing of the legs. There, he attempts to sit up slightly and catch the jump master unaware. You must be anticipating the student at all times. Here we're talking altitude awareness. They signal him to pull. Good pull. This dive is another instructor dive with TK as student Alan King and Jim Mowry. I'm sorry, that's not Jim Mowry. That's Mike Johnston in the blue and white. Notice the student, or simulated student, leaving his left hand out during the pull and kicking his legs. The reserve side jump master should observe that and push that arm in. There, they gave him too much bobble time and he flipped himself over on his back. That would be a very difficult position to be in. Obviously, TK is not making much of an attempt to reverse. Note here that Al King finally simulates dumping the student's main ripcord as the only alternative left at that point. That would be a very dangerous dive and one of the problems that you have to face. On this dive right here, this is an actual first-timer dive. Clay Steffi on his first jump. Notice the tremendous amount of learning that takes place on the 3 successive dummy ripcord pulls. Watch the legs and notice the change in each one as he adds corrections. There, a little bit of bobble. The second one is much better. The third is very clean. Watch him check his altimeter for altitude awareness. He signals that he is ready to pull. A very nice, clean dive. That is a level 1 skydive. On the second jump that we're about to see here, this is Eva Jones on her first jump. Note here that after her first dummy ripcord pull, the main side jump master grabs her by the wrist and carries her through the next one. Her first one, she came in and grabbed a large ring of the 3 ring, and we try to dampen down her. There, the instructor is telling her to look at the camera to enjoy herself. We regrip at 5,000 feet, signal her to pull. She had not done very good dummy ripcord pulls, and I worked her to pull really hard, but she did quite well. The next dive that you're about to see is Mike Degree on his first jump. On this particular dive here, you will see what we consider the exceptional student. A nice exit. Watch the dummy ripcord pulls here and the obvious amount of fun the student is having. Well balanced, trimmed out free fall position, good altitude awareness, the ability to pull the arms in front and check the altimeter. Obviously aware of the camera, checking his altimeter. He's been told to pull. Nice, clean, coordinated pull. This dive here is a student who does poorly. She showed a lot of fear on the dive. You will note the kicking that takes place. This is in slow motion and gives you a better idea of what they go through. You will see throughout this dive her sitting up. She's not extending her legs. She's bent at the waist in the wrong direction. The jump masters have to maintain front grip to keep her from back looping. You can see the obvious fear. When she got on the ground, she said that she didn't even enjoy the free fall. There, a little bit of free arm pull, and the jump masters are having a real hard time there. She's right precipitate to back loop, and they fight it and dampen it. You must anticipate that. If you see it and get behind it, you'll be back where TK had those other 2 jump masters. This student is obviously going to need some help at pull. We never got around to dummy ripcord pulls. As you can see, she doesn't seem to be having that much fun. Skydiving is not for everyone. We have to recognize that. And as we see this on static line jumps, you'll see it here. There, you see the jump master come in and pull for her. Sometimes that is necessary. Not very often, but it does happen. Here is Eva Jones on her second jump. Note the bad grip during the climb out here. When you see the student come out, you'll see Mallory take the wrong grip. He says he changed it later on and he became aware of it, but right there, that grip right there should be 180 degrees. We use a physical motion of up, down, go to coordinate the exit. You can see that on every dive. There, that wasn't too bad. Now it funnels a little bit, but they adjust for it. The reason for going to 9,000 feet is to allow you the time to deal with minor problems. Watch the dummy ripcord pulls here. Notice that she keeps her legs nice and coordinated. The arm movements are there, and the jump master's being a little nervous, immediately took the grips. Providing more free arm movement and not taking that grip right away is an advantage to the student because it gives them more freedom and awareness time, and you're not dampening out mistakes. This is Mike DeGree's second jump, and because he did so well on his first one, we attempt to accelerate him to the third level by moving to a three-man. But the jump suits are very poorly balanced, and because he likes a tucked up free fall position, notice that the jump masters have to work very hard to stay down with him. Carefully coordinating the equipment and recognizing with the students that will fall fast has to be anticipated on the ground. Notice that the release, he immediately falls below them. It's important that you get clear of a dive like that and not get involved in the opening. You cannot expect the student to be able to completely do that for himself. This dive here is Mike's fourth jump. We've already got him spotting. This is a single jump master harness hold. We obviously are not worried about him staying stable. We are there to be a close-in visual reference of neutral and to assist him in any real serious problems. That's Rocky Evans jumping with him. There is his first turn to redock. Rocky meets him halfway and tries to let him be the one that closes. If we see free fall being wasted, we will go and meet the student halfway, but it is much better to stay in one position and let them be the one that's making the adjustments. Here's his first attempt at a track, a little bit of a weak one, but he did get forward motion and he was aware of it, changed his heading slightly there. Good pull. This is Clay on his third jump. Notice that his knees are widely spread and he's starting to pull his knees underneath him a little bit. He holds that position too long, and note that the jump masters really have to tuck up a little to stay down with him. Other than that, it's an exceptionally nice skydive. This is what we call a release dive. This turn is unintentional, but he does slow it down and get it stopped for the pull. Great deal of learning taking place there. A little weak on the left arm in, but a good jump. This is Eva with Rocky Evans as the jump master. All of the students are wearing the solid blue with black trim jumpsuits. Here, Rocky gives her some last words of encouragement, tell her to keep her arms in. Note there, this is supposed to be a redock dive or straight forward, that her arms are too far in front of her for the hand track to be effective. She needs to pull the arms back just a few inches. Rocky, having seen that, finally comes over and indicates for her to pull. Good altitude awareness. This is Edgar, and Alan Gencarelli is the jump master. Good exit. Alan compensates where it could have rolled over a little bit there. Notice the trouble that Alan has moving around in front because Edgar is slightly backtracking. See the turn there? Almost gets the grip. He has to really tuck up to keep the student from turning away from him. Note that the jumpsuit sleeve on his right arm is loose. That will cause disproportionate drag and make it difficult for the student. Edgar also falls very fast. We're finding that the big jumpsuits, common down in Florida especially, are not really conducive to working with the students. That a big jumpsuit they can't drive very well. This is Edgar again with Carl Doherty as jump master. Edgar is practicing basic track, movement forward, more redock dive. Notice that the jump master has to work to stay down with the student. The cameraman comes down to get in closer for the filming. Much better forward, very good redock. Now he turns it to the camera to get a good look at the camera and instructs him to pull off. This is Eliza Jones on her 7th jump with another auxiliary jump master going along to watch all of this. That's Rocky Evans and Don Fournier. Don's in the dark jumpsuit just watching the maneuvers taking place. Rocky's hooked up with the student. She clears and pulls. On this next dive, note that the rig gets off center and has a great deal of effect on throwing the student around. The rig has slid off to her side now because the diagonals weren't tight enough, and it gives her a constant slide. It's important that the rigs be properly adjusted for these long duration free falls. A fairly good turn, no forward to redock hoot had to go to her. This is Eva with Rocky Evans, a very nice exit. Notice that she held the position all the way through. This is in slow motion, 16 millimeter. This is turns to redock. Notice the slow cut turn. Slow motion lets you see it much better. She finds Rocky and finishes the turn a little bit, tries basic forward, a little better hand track this time. Rocky meets her halfway and lets her do the closing. Notice that he holds off from taking the grips till she flies right up to him. We like to have a little pause in between each maneuver to let the student absorb what they have just done. There again, a good turn but poor redock. This is a clearance dive, or last dive in the series of 7. This is Mike Degree doing front loop, then alternating 360-degree turns and a back loop. Not bad for his 6th skydive. This dive is Eva's 9th jump, a solo exit in which she slightly reverses her arch. I'm not too concerned with initial loss of stability off the step after the student has shown the ability to deal with terminal free fall. They need that experience. Learning that they can gain stability is just as important as always being stable. She stays with the cameraman, that was her instructions, and the jump master comes down and meets her. Her first attempt at a back loop, notice that she brought her arms in way too fast. Recovers from the tumble. The objective in these harness hold free falls is to have them try new things at high altitude where a mistake is something that they can laugh at and recover from, not something that interrupts main parachute deployment. We preach, above all things, altitude awareness and a stable face-to-earth pull. There, he instructed her to track in that direction. This is Liza's 10th jump. Good back loop. Notice that when she finished the back loop, the rig slid off to her side. Again, it is very important that you keep the rigs tight. Adequate trim. Oftentimes, students will ask to repeat a dive when they don't feel that they have performed well. There, she started to turn and track at the same time and got a little bit of both. That is not unusual. Here, the student follows the jump master out to learn the aggressive motion of following the jump master out. Good stability. A much better back loop. Good redock. Good forward right out of the back loop. Thinking about her arms first. Very good. Practicing the track, getting headed toward the airport, orienting herself and tracking was part of that dive, which she did quite well. A baby track, but a track nonetheless. This jump involved the use of two jump masters in which the student alternated from jump master to jump master, not only being aware of where she were, but who she was working with. A tremendous amount of awareness for her 9th jump. Much better track. We demonstrate track there. That was an agreed upon thing where she would start the track, we would pass her in the track. Oftentimes demonstrating the maneuver in free fall is very important. Here is an introduction to a larger relative work jumpsuit. Notice on this first attempt at a back loop here, or front loop, that her legs inflate and completely reverses the formation. She has a real hard time with that big jumpsuit because of the difference in the control surfaces. Note that when it gets away from her a little bit, she gets turned upside down. Again, this is at high altitude. We just release her. Stability is not a problem for these students because they have so much free fall time per jump. They're a much better track. Upon the completion of the accelerated free fall program, we often suggest that our students visit another drop zone and participate in what we call a graduation dive. This particular jump is at Zephyr Hills, where we took two of our students, Mike and Liza, and went to Zephyr Hills to jump with mirror image as base. After carefully coordinating the base and the dive itself for ultimate and safety, we see Mike on his 26th jump exit and enter cleanly. There, Eliza lands on it and takes it out. As had been agreed, mirror image reforms around the low student. And an SCR is born. On the very next dive, Mike has his turn at taking one out, as you will see, but you will also see Eliza dock cleanly on her 19th jump. That was Eliza that slid by there, getting herself stopped. Here, Mike enters high and flips over on top of it, but again, as the dirt dive was set up, he cleared himself. Other jumpers entered. From this camera angle, Eliza will be entering on the extreme left. The following footage after this dive is the same dive from another viewpoint. Liza's already in, and the cameraman comes in and enters right next to her. We'd like to extend our thanks to Bill Sutton and Don Fournier for all of the work they have done in providing the video, especially Bill Sutton and all of the documentation he has done to film these student dives. This is that same dive viewed from across the star. The student, Liza, is the one on the left making the approach now. Watch the steady state approach to wrists where she gets hung by the burble. She applies a little more forward speed and a nice right to wrists grip. a little bit of a shake, and an SCS is born. She was grinning too. Accelerated free fall in action.